one, go.
I'm reeling. Cyrus says this is the show Monday morning. Good morning to everybody who's watching live as well as dead. When I say dead, I mean that, in a very flirtatious way. I don't mean to upset anybody because at a time like this, you shouldn't make jokes like that. I retract the statement, my lord. I can't say my lord, by the way. That's cancelled. So I retract the statement anyway. A huge blow to all of us, which is the minimum fare of taxis have gone up from 16 odd to 25 bucks, and the midnight fare is 32. 32 bucks if you go 1.5 kilometers by taxi in Mumbai as we speak. Uh, the minimum fare for rickshaws has gone up to 27 rupees. I mean, that's only got three wheels. And it's almost the same as a four-wheel taxi. What is this world coming to? I got to tell you some good news here from the locomotive side, and that is race course is opening. The season starts now this week. We're going to have races again. Horses are back. So from what I gather, simple maths tells me it's cheaper to buy a horse than take a taxi. So think about that, folks. It's called Cyrus Says. I'm joined by the reputed scientist, social scientist Amit Doshi, and his good friend, a man who's kept the same hair and beard for the last 1 year, unlike the prime ministers whose hair and beard is growing, which is a sign of prosperity for all of us.
Yep.
Mr. One and only Silvery Antariksh. Uh,
Hey, good morning.
Hi,
Hi.
Silvery.
Hey, morning.
Offline, you
Cyrus, I think Rishi just told you to put the mic down, but you put it a little too far down. Put it a
okay?
little off. There you go. That's better.
All right, all right. That's the most interesting part of this entire podcast, by the way. So let's do more of that throughout. Just keep reminding me to move the mic.
Yeah,
People get really excited. Oh, mic time.
the mic.
Offline, Silvery, you mentioned that there's not too much happening, but there are lots of small stories. And
Yep.
this story, again, this is, I don't know whether to call it the elitist attitude issue thing or whether it's middle class India and Mumbai in particular. But I always get upset when petrol goes up and when taxi fares go up, even though I'm not using
Yeah.
taxi fares. It's in my DNA. I
Yeah.
just react badly. It's like India losing a test. I just react badly. It's an emotional thing. Amit, I don't know where you stand on this, but over the years, I remember since Xavier's days back in the early 90s, early 90s, yeah, what was I? Yeah, 1990. It was something like, I thought 12 bucks for me to reach home from St. Xavier. So from Metro to Malabar Hill, 12 rupees. Shalini, myself, and Neeraj Kosher would share the fare, 4
Yep.
bucks each. I never paid, so I always owed them. So 6 bucks each for them. That's just a little twist on the
Yeah.
tail.
I,
But
I think
12,
but I remember that too, right? I used to come home
Yep.
from school for like 6 rupees, 7 rupees.
Exactly. I used to
That
come
was the
from
fee.
from, from like 10 bucks, 10, 12 bucks as
Yeah.
well.
10 bucks. Okay. So you
Yeah,
guys do
exactly.
realize that you need 32
Yeah.
in the night.
Oh
32 just to
God.
go
Yeah.
6, 7 buildings away, literally,
Correct.
if you're
Yeah.
feeling lazy,
Terrible.
which is,
But
I
what?
don't
Sorry,
know,
the day fare is what? 23, right?
25. From 16 to
20.
25, brother. Mathematically, that's what, a 50% jump almost?
Oh wait, it's not
Mm.
minimum. It's not a 16 rupee minimum right now
That's what it says. Fare per km 16.93,
for
minimum fare
rickshaw. For
20.
rickshaw?
For rickshaw 16. Sorry, you're right. You're right. 22, 26 old fare for taxi and 25 now.
Huh.
It tells you how long it's been since I've been in
So
a cab.
rickshaw minimum fare is 25 rupees and taxi minimum fare is 26 rupees.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's
Something like that.
weird. There
Yeah.
always used to be a
Okay,
much
rickshaw
bigger gap,
minimum
no?
fare is 21.
Okay.
Old fare is 14. That's what the older report is saying. It's a little
Wow.
confusing.
It's great how none of us know the actual rates of
No,
rickshaws
so
and
I know the
private.
minimum. I know the old minimum
You
fares
mean
for
none of you
both.
travel by rickshaw today?
I
No,
don't I
I,
don't
I,
really
I,
right now.
I
Yeah.
do travel by rickshaw every so often. It's 18 bucks is the
Where do
minimum
you
fare. So
travel by
basically,
rickshaw, man?
when I have to go within Bandra somewhere
Before
Okay.
COVID.
before COVID, yeah.
I can't
Oh,
see
well,
you.
now since COVID, I don't travel anywhere. Yeah, but I mean,
I
like,
know.
yeah.
The only
No,
safe
but
way with the rickshaw is if you drive the rickshaw yourself and the guy sits behind. God, that's ridiculous. Yeah, let's get this
this.
right now, folks. Otherwise, the whole show will go on getting the facts right here. So, minimum fare for cool cab is 33 bucks, where the old one was 22
Ah,
bucks. For Kali Pili, it is now 25 bucks, and the old fare was 16 bucks.
it
It
was
is
not
that.
16 bucks. It
That's what
was
it
not
says
16.
here.
That is wrong.
Well, that's what it
Dude,
says.
I take Kali. I don't have a car, right? And so if I have to come to your house or if I have to go to anywhere around this Malabar Hill area, I take a
Mhm.
Kali Pili only and go.
Okay, let's go on to our live chat and say, has anybody taken a taxi today and yesterday and can tell us what they paid and what the difference is? And I hope you don't tip the taxi guy because that causes more confusion. But just quickly, so 1.5 is 32 and
Huh.
about 10 kilometers. Guys, 10 kilometers is my office to my little bit beyond my home, which is,
Right.
not much really where I live. That is 10 kilometers. The new cost will be, I've lost it again,
Uh, uh
223 rupees. Silvery for 10
we
km.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
I
No,
Yeah,
that
we
doesn't
suppose.
sound right. Really?
I'm reading off here. I'm not lying. Oh, that's
No,
for
I
the
know
cool
you're not
cab. That's
lying,
cool
but
cab. But
no,
I
but
need the cool cab. It's hot.
even that seems high for a cool. for a cool
So
cab, right? I'm just thinking, what's
so what will you pay if you go by Uber
if I, yeah,
on a
exactly.
normal
If I
time?
come from from my house to your office by Uber, is like 110 bucks,
120?
120 bucks,
120? So this is almost
one
double, huh?
120.
And
Yeah,
cool cab AC, so double for cool cab. And for our normal cab, 10 is 169. What a figure to go with. 169. You won't be feeling like that at all, I'm telling you, by the end of this journey.
Okay.
I suppose if
so
your office pays for your conveyance like some people used to in the 90s and 20 years back, I don't know what others is. I mean, 2 kilometers you'll have to walk. It makes no sense to spend 40 bucks for 2 kilometers. No sense. Say,
Yeah.
Silvery.
Yeah, we are being told in the chat that Akriti Arora tells us that Kali Pili is 22 bucks or had
mhm.
22 bucks previously, and Shruti says that Rick was 18 minimum.
That's exactly right. I know that's the case because I used to, like, when I'd go to a doctor or something like that, right? There's a doctor close by. I would take 25 rupees with me in cash to pay him at
Ah,
that point in time. So I knew that
yeah.
that number was something like that.
Okay, wait. Akriti to get her own podcast on taxis. I will work this out. Thank you, Akriti, for helping us. I spent the whole morning researching this, and you can see when it comes to numbers what has happened. But I'm not lying. I wish I could show you a screenshot.
Hmm.
It's on the Times of India page 3 if anybody wants to go into it. Tariff cards valid from March 1st to May 31st, which means after May 31st, it's not coming down. I'm just telling you. Yeah.
No, it's not. Prices never come down, no, for this stuff.
But now let's look at it from the devil advocate point of view, which is what about these guys with the burgeoning prices of fuels? Although they
Hmm.
of course use gas, which may not necessarily have the same jump. How do they? And also the loss of income that they've had for what
Yeah.
from almost 10 months. Maybe this
Yep.
year onwards they've had a little, but up to December of last year, very little.
Oh no, no, it's been bad, right? I mean, like, we have a guy who we use as he'll come for a driver every so often. He has his own cab, he has a black and yellow cab, and it's been brutal for them, man. I mean, like, it's really been really really hard for them because the volume of travel is decreased by everybody,
Yep.
like, hugely, right? And so if in a day if he take his taxi out and he get like 10 or 15 things to do, I mean, like, now he was saying like 2 or 3 at best, right? And so he is fortunate enough that he's paid his cab off already. His cab is he doesn't have a loan on his cab,
Oh, that's good.
but he was telling me a lot of people who are still paying their cabs off, they're like completely screwed.
A few years back, I was thinking of investing in taxis.
It
A
was a
little bit
good
back. A
investment a
couple of
few
my
years
friends
back.
actually,
Oh,
one friend of mine had owned 3 taxis.
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
used to make a little money on it on the side. Of course, he owned
Oh,
a petrol pump as well. So it was easy for him in
It's
a sense.
so I've looked into this a little bit. It's a hard to manage business, but it's an excellent return business,
Yeah,
right? So you need.
yeah. No, you're right. If you get the market, you're doing really well
Mm,
because what if you drive for 8 9 hours in the day and you manage to get a lot of customers, you
mm.
can easily clear about 2 3 grand a day. It's not so
You
bad.
basically it's a business that can make you probably something like 70-80% on your investment a year, but it's a very very hard to manage business.
Yeah,
It's a very hard to
but
manage
Amit, I
business
had a
because
super business plan in place. I was going to take all my old relatives who don't have much to do and put
and
them in a
make
cab. Well, not
there you
in
go.
all together, but in different cabs. And
That solves the primary issue, right? The primary problem is one of employment, right? Because what happens is that
and
you
trust
want. Uh,
and
well,
trust.
trust is not so. Trust is easy. Trust is more easily manageable because there are ways to kind of manage it from a software perspective, right? Or from a hardware perspective with the meters. And there are ways to do that. But what happens is that if you are if you're a driver who is driving in the cabs, right? And this is we literally came against this problem when we were looking at doing it. If you are a driver who is doing this, right, you're not going to be a professional taxi driver for less than 20 to 22,000 rupees a month. That was the bare minimum salary you would have to pay for that. Our normal household drivers are around 15,000. This would be at least half 50% higher than that. Once you're making 25,000 rupees a month, at that point in time you're operating in a league where starting to think about paying the installment on a cab is not as intimidating as it is at 15,000 rupees a month, because the installment on a cab is something like 10 12,000 rupees a month.
Okay, but
So it basically drivers will start making their own, they'll start moving into making their own cabs, which is a good thing from a societal perspective.
what
But if
about
you're trying to run it as a business, is a bad thing.
no? But for struggling comics, it's a good idea, Silvery. I mean, with night work
You
being
think struggling comics can work for 9 10 12 hours a day?
well, they can do that. They can do their stand up.
You
I mean, they
think
charge a little
that?
extra. Hello, Mr. Sharma, beto, beto. Did you know that 2 men went into a bar in Lucknow? One of them was called Yogi, but not the Prime Minister, Chief Minister. And from there, you take off.
yeah.
But Silvery, what do you think? Look, in the States, for example, or in the West,
Yeah.
lots of guys who are struggling in the art world, whether they're actors or stand-up comedians, artists, or whatever, take a second job to pay bills. And taxi driving, Uber driving, that kind of thing is one of the most
That's
popular. It's
actually that's true. I mean, there's no as
no
long as
harm.
there's yeah, exactly. There's no as long as you're fine with driving a rickshaw around, like, or driving
You
a
drive your
taxi
rickshaw
around.
nine
It's all
to
good.
five, then
Yeah,
you take a
it's all
break
good.
for a little while, and
Of
then you
course.
go and do your art from say 9 to 2 or
See,
whatever.
it's an easy job. All you have to do is drive all day, and then you can work on your material or whatever, and
You
go
can
and try and do
test your
your shows.
material with when you get a decent
Yeah,
customer who's
exactly. Oh,
chatty.
that'll be
Like
great.
I'm a chatty customer in
Yeah,
a cab. I love talking with the cabbie, so I'll listen to
exactly.
you. We'll have fun.
Imagine imagine the stories you'll get, man. Imagine the material you'll get from talking to all those people. Like I'm sure you'll have some great characters who come into the cab very often.
No, I
So
remember
it'll be
I
great
got a
stories.
lesson from a guy in Calcutta we were discussing how Rabi Devi had become chief minister conveniently when Lalu Prasad had been put in house arrest or whatever, 5-star jail, whatever it was called. And he said, "इसमें क्या है? तो कांग्रेस तो वैसा ही करता है कितने सालों से." And he was spot on actually because in his mind he explained nepotism to me, which has got different colors and layers, but it's the same thing end of the day. So yeah, they're philosophers and they're interesting and they could be comedians as well. One for the cabbies. One for the
Yep.
cabbies.
So you were talking about starting your own cab business. A few years back, my dad and uncle were thinking of starting a taxi business in Goa, but it didn't happen because Goa's union taxi unions
you
Doesn't
and all
allow
are
you
very yeah, they
outsiders.
don't
Yeah.
allow. Yeah, exactly.
you have to be a local.
Yeah,
They
exactly. So
don't
even
allow
Uber, that's
Uber
why
and Ola
Ubers
and
and Ola,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they,
that's
they
why you
have
have to pay
those ones.
1,500. I've done this. I paid 1,500 rupees for an Innova to go from one hotel to a restaurant which was 4 kilometers away. 1,500
Oh
rupees I paid for
God.
an Innova.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
wife would have run.
That's about right.
Huh?
She just would have
But
run. She
she
runs
could
20
run.
kilometers every second day.
She can run. Most of us could not run. We had to,
Yeah.
we were a group of 12 people. We had to take three cars. 4,500 bucks we paid. We paid as much for that
Ridiculous.
fucking Innova as we paid for not our entire night out, but for a good chunk of our night out.
Are they 3 trips like that and you could have bought the Innova? I mean, come
Yeah,
on, guys. It's
it
ridiculous.
was
But
ludicrous.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe all of us, many of us as we age, live in a world which is gone. So we can't adjust to price rise. Amit, I don't think you're that bad, but I am a little bit like that. I just cringe. I cringe and then I try to deal with it. But with the 100 crossing, and it's a great day for all of us. We've crossed 100 in Bombay today for
Yep.
premium petrol. I saw it in the morning. I felt emotional. We all cried. I hugged the mechanic. I took my mask off. I said, let's kill each other. Let's COVID together. But what's the point? We're going to die of inflation anyway. And while that's happening on one side, then this is happening. You can justify this saying that, inflation from fuel hike, just as you said earlier in the last program, affects everybody and everything. It's like a domino effect, a circular effect. So maybe that's it. But thinking of being a college kid again thinking from our world as usual, I don't even think
Yeah.
about farmers or about dance bar girls or about accountants, all the other interesting people of India. But as us, when we were young in college or whatever, and trying to put a little money together to go by cab here and there, this is frightful now. I mean, you've got a girlfriend who lives 20 kilometers away, you're screwed. Or rather, you're
Yeah.
not screwed.
You
I mean, you
are.
know what I mean.
Yeah, but you are.
It's going to
Nothing. Yeah.
factor in when you're as cheap as I am. You're going to factor in everything. Am I
Dude, you have
going
a
out? Am I
girlfriend
not
who's
going out?
you have to train. If you have a girlfriend 20
Yeah.
kilometers away, you go by train.
And of course, when you're a kid, pocket money, a lot of your pocket money is based on travel, because you will have to get from place A to place B, and then from there, after reaching that place, you'll have to spend a little bit more money. So you always factor in travel. At least I used to.
Yeah,
No,
but
That's gonna be
we used to travel by cab in the early days when nobody had a car, and we just started eating and drinking in college, early junior college. And I'm thinking there'll be fights over the payment here
yeah.
because everywhere you go, Rajiv will say, "I don't have enough money," or "I don't have this," or "This is too much."
yeah,
And I can imagine all the bickering that'll happen. In any case,
yeah.
you're born to save.
Did you guys ever
Oh,
have the issue around this, right? I remember me and my friends when we were dividing cab bills. Who got picked up first? You should pay a little bit more than
yeah.
the person who got picked
Oh,
up
yes,
second, who should
yes,
pay a
yes.
little
Correct,
bit
correct,
more than
correct.
the
Yeah,
person
yeah.
who got
That's a
It's
picked
like
gift
the
from my
food thing.
generation. That's a gift
It's
from
like
my
the food
generation.
thing. It's like, yeah,
No, but
That
then the person who gets picked up first, right? The person who's taking the cab initially, which is typically me, my argument would be like, but then I should go straight to the place. Now, why am I coming to pick you up in the way? If I'm
exactly.
coming to pick
Correct.
you up, but then they're like, no,
Exactly.
but if you went straight to the place, then you'd have to pay the entire thing. It turned into an amazing argument.
Yeah.
the logic is warranted on both parties and both sides, but the only point is in the end we'll end up splitting it by four. But you just
Yeah.
can't do it any other way. How do you? I mean, what does he minus that first
दो
tariff? I mean,
रुपया
it's
एक
ridiculous.
रुपया
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
like
we never tipped the cab. Until I went to England, I had no idea you tip the cabbie. But in India, there's no tipping of cabbie unless
You don't.
you won't take the change back because it's a headache. You
Yeah.
literally tip him
Yeah.
because you're irritated that you don't want the 2 rupees
I
75 paisa
I
in
I
change.
don't want the coins.
You don't want the coins.
Honestly, I tip the. I don't want the coins. That's
Humanitarianism in India comes from majburi. It's always that. It's a beautiful link, man. Yeah, but for me, it was the taxi culture growing up from our world again of middle class males, let's say, it played a huge role and still does till Silvery's generation till he got his first car or somebody in the group got a car. I'm sure, and you still, I
Yep.
mean, you don't have cars all the time when you're in your late teens and early 20s.
Yep.
Even so, the rickshaws and taxis are so important. So I feel your pain, Silvery. I can
Yeah.
see what you're going through. Social life will come to maybe 30% down minimum.
Definitely. Already, COVID has made such a difference.
Or the girl will know
Mahindra
you
has a
love her. Huh? Silvery,
yeah.
the girl will know you
Oh, that's
love her.
true.
He
Oh,
came
yeah,
20
they'll be like, we
kilometers
have impressing
twice
people.
this
Yeah.
week. Twice this
Yeah.
week. Just to
Wow,
say
you
hello.
came to pick me up. Oh
Yeah.
God, that's so sweet.
And then on the after dinner, like, I have to drop you also. Oh shit. Women's Day coming
Mahindra
up, guys. Women's Day coming up. Be careful. Yeah.
Mahindra in the chat has a very interesting
Yeah.
message. He says, "Won't the collective number of rides go down for rickshaws and taxis? That means lesser people will take you to remote places because they won't get bhada back. So they're a lot more like nahi jane ka hai. That might
But
happen,
they've
right?
been doing that. Sorry, they've been doing that from my early days in the 80s or 90s, whenever the hell it was, where they would the preferred generation. I mean, I've done this in my stand-up all the time because I hated it.
Yeah, of
Firstly,
course.
the answer would always be without a word. It would be in sounds, which I felt was the most disrespect you could ever get. I'd be like, especially nobody in South Bombay wants to go to another place in South Bombay. It was just not worth their while. So you say Malabar Hill from Cuff Parade, and he'll go like, and I'd be like, but do I get the respect of no, nahi, noko? Not nothing. It's just like, or just look away, don't make eye contact, and just like you're really ugly. I don't want you in my cab. I had to go through all that shit, growing up. It
Yeah.
was just ridiculous because they just wanted the 250 rupee big one for the day and no small fares up and down. When you talk to them, they
That's
explain everything.
no, but so I mean, like it's one of those things which I don't understand the logic, or I don't understand how that logic stands up, right? If you take that one 250 rupee fare, then the amount that you're being paid per hour is significantly less than if you were to take four of these 25 rupee fares.
Yes, but when laziness meets enterprise, you get results like this. Because
Mm.
enterprise tells him, I'll wait for the big fair. Laziness tells him that's a great idea. And it comes together. That's what happens. I agree with you because the hardworking guy, when you talk, they're different cabbies, just like they're different
Yeah.
cops, they're different us. And they would tell you, look, they look down on those guys. They're terrible. They're spoiling our name because the other guy will do the 7 rupee fare, the 10 rupee fare, and it will
Yeah.
ginke. He would have a really good day on, say, Friday and make like
Yeah.
a 2,000 bucks. But that guy went ahead. And the Joker was waiting at the airport for that one ride. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That always struck me as kind of weird, right? Why would you care so much? You should want a bunch of small rides. You get a new ride, you get flair. Also, I mean, like when I'm paying you per kilometer, right? If I'm coming to your house is 2 kilometers away from my house, right? I'm still paying 25 bucks, right?
it's a
If I'm,
killing. It's a killing.
yeah,
He's used very marginal amount of fuel or whatever gas, and he's
yeah,
reached, as you said, just 2 kilometers, and he made a full profit, probably 80% profit on that.
yeah.
If he does the maths at the end of the day, you're right. 10 of those fares, if he got in the day, would make him go through the roof, as
Yeah.
against long distance where he would consume some.
You're consuming a lot of fuel. It's painful. It's a lot of work.
But
It's a lot more work. I've always had the other thing that I've never really understood, right? This is more of an Uber thing than a cab thing, and I've never understood why. And so now apparently FASTag is compulsory, though I don't
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
think it
yeah.
still is.
I just came back from Alibag.
I don't
Put
think
it
it
on one
still
car.
is compulsory
No, they
because
have
I'm
one cash lane, but the lane was
yeah,
longer, and also they start irritating you. Then they'll charge more for the cash vis-a-vis
yeah,
what the discount you're
yeah.
getting on this. So in a
But
way, it's forced on you. Yeah.
but we have the C link, right? And I've never understood why Uber drivers would not want to use the fast tag line, the tag on the C link, right? Because again, it's just plain simple math. If every time you stop at the toll, you have to spend 5 minutes or 7 minutes at that toll, which is what you spend every time you stop at the toll,
You
right? If
consume.
you're stopping at
Correct.
that toll 20 times a month to 30 times a month, you're wasting 2.5 to 3 hours of your time and that toll.
Here's the rub. I think when you do the fast tag, you're getting a little discount on it also.
You get a discount
So it
also
makes
because
sense to take the fast tag because he's making money because he's charging you the 75 rate. He's not
yeah,
charging the fast tag rate, whatever the damn rate is for the cash.
yeah.
That's what's going into your bill. So it makes
Mhm.
no sense, and it also makes sense to him because he is going to use the damn thing 10 times. He
Yeah.
might as well fill it up. I mean, that's his. I mean, that's his career. Just like you chose comedy silver, he chose to drive the cab. So I mean, that's there in his future.
Yeah.
That he'll go up
No,
and down the ceiling.
it's always been something that surprised me, right? That I mean, like, if you're a professional driver, aren't you trying to maximize your income? You maximize your income by
Yeah, but
maximizing your
you're
time
looking
on
at
road.
you're putting business sense into everyone, and unfortunately, this business sense, or fortunately, escapes a lot of people.
But
And
Cyrus, the problem is that the way that my thinking generally works, right? It's that people will do things which are geared towards their incentives. If people don't understand their incentives or don't understand what is the right thing, and then you become paternalistic. No, you should do this because this is better for you, right?
also,
And
the
that's
fear of spending more money initially in India is another DNA issue. The
it
moment you
is.
say spend more first, the idea that it will generate more for you later doesn't really add properly in our
It does.
heads.
No, and also in the ceiling, particularly, to be honest, there was also an initial problem, right? The way that they set up the ceiling toll FASTag initially was you had to pay 3,000 rupees for a monthly tag and go up and down as many times as you want to, right? And that doesn't make sense from a financial perspective for these drivers, right?
But
And that's the impression all of them have as how
but
it
Amit, as
works.
an upstanding Mumbaiker and a citizen who believes in following the law and doing everything on principle, I ask you, is there any way we can duplicate the FASTag at home? Because at the end of the day, it's like he hits a gun-like thing which hits into the. It's a laser, I mean,
It is.
surely we can. There must be a way. Put it out there, please. If anyone can duplicate it and tell us how.
For
And
what you want to for opening your door?
no, I just want to keep fake ones ready all the time. I hate the idea of spending money.
Ah, that way. Okay.
I
Yeah.
want
No. So
something for what taxes I pay. I'm not getting anything. They shut the oval for 15 days for no reason. They let the other grounds flourish. Everybody's playing in Parsi Gymkhana. What's the point of that? So I'm feeling victimized. So
I
I want to fight back. And I'll fight
I
back
hear.
with laser tag of my own.
I
Imagine.
hear you.
And I'll give it to my friends as well if we can duplicate it, guys. This is
Uh,
my NGO effort for all struggling people who live off their parents like myself. This is something we can do together. So out there in the chat, if anyone can duplicate the laser, I'm sure we can. We are the Jugaad country of the world. We've given them all these credit card fraud and all came from us. So any machine, Indians can do something in a machine that works for us. That's the whole idea. I see you're perplexed. You're not happy, Amit.
no, it's just
You're a
I
man
mean,
of
like what you're.
integrity. Wrong show, Amit
No,
Doshi.
okay. I was just so here's the thing, right? If I was thinking of should I answer this or should I just let it sit as a joke? I'm like, let it just sit as a joke. Now, why unnecessarily give an actual answer to this?
So what you're saying is that you rotate. Sometimes you treat me as a kid and an infant and just let it go. Well done, beta. I'll go have an ice cream. And sometimes you want to fight.
Uh,
Okay, before we go into break, are we going to get into the Mohammed bin Salman story now or after?
we should let's take a break and let's come back with the MBS.
Okay, coming soon. Joe Biden and the MBS controversy. Back here on our live chat and lots of stories. I wanted to talk about flashing. Flashing, by the way, gets you 1 year in jail. Quick story before we go into Mohammed bin Salman and all that. There was a gentleman in 2015 who flashed a young 17-year-old college girl, as in he took off his pant and showed his junior member to the lady in question. And then, of course, he was caught and beaten up and all that. And the case took 4-5 years. And now the judge in Mumbai has said you get 1 year jail for that. Because even if no harm is done, there's no question of molesting. It is still a crime for flashing and outraging the modesty of the young girl. Comments, guys, because I have flashed.
I mean,
Oh,
but it's definitely an offense. Nobody should have to look at your genitals out in public. So it makes
But
sense.
I haven't flashed women in public, but I have flashed in the dressing room. You just drop everything just to irritate the new guy. We used to do it all the
Oh, I
time
mean,
because new guys are
I-
always shy in a dressing room and they don't want to make eye
yeah,
contact. So
mm.
other men just walk around with their what you may call it hanging. We do it all the time. That's
yeah,
also flashing.
amongst men, it's fine. Yeah, you like in,
What?
in
That's
boarding school.
sexist. Oh,
Like, no, it's really
bolo
like
bolo
in,
body school ka batao. You've been harrowed in Panchgani. I want to
yeah,
hear
in
more.
boarding school, exactly. In boarding school, we used to like hit each other on the bums with wet towels, naked bottoms, and all that shit. That was pretty normal. that was very quite normal actually.
Ahmed, he was molested. This kid. They used to whack his ass for no
Yeah,
reason with wet
all these
towels.
repressed memories.
My God.
Yeah,
Oof,
but
ouch.
so among
Which
men,
boarding school, Panchgani?
as a joke, is fine.
This is the one opposite Freddie Mercury's, right?
Yeah, this is the one opposite pretty much. It's the
Right,
Sanjivan
right,
Vidyalaya. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's a connection between Freddie Mercury's habits and this whole towel cult. Imagine back after We Are the Champions backstage, he takes out Roger Taylor and Brian May. Take your pants off, boys. Boom. All right. Okay. Shall we go into Mohammed bin Salman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the controversy, of course, just quickly, the setup is very simple. Well, the point is not so much about MBS and whether obviously it was a horrible thing to do, the Khashoggi killing. But the point was that when Donald Trump kept sort of mum or allowed it to pass, or because of the connection and the the go between Saudi Arabia and US relations, etc. Everybody criticized him, starting with the entire Democratic lineup and starting with the alpha at the top, Joe Biden. Now, apparently, he's looking the other way as well. They've had a report, an internal report has come out saying 150,000% he's involved and allowed, at the very least, has allowed the killing to go place, whatever that means. Amit.
He was aware. That's I think what the report said, that he was aware
So
that
let's
the
give him that.
killing
Let's
was
give him the
occurring.
lowest position
Yeah.
that he was just aware. Now you take it from there.
No, but I don't think that is what happened, right? This was pushed by. This was probably at I think the best is, like, there's a Beckett-like situation. Will no one rid me of this troublesome priest?
Yeah, well,
At best it's that,
you're
right?
being really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's
That's
the,
the best scenario. But again, he knows what he's doing when he says that, right? So I mean, like,
no. I'm
that's
I'm
the
talking about the double speak which happens, and I hope it doesn't cost you your visa, Silvery, in future. Which is when Donald Trump was on the platform, and I'm not taking a side here. I'm just saying you talk about human rights issues in India, in Pakistan, in Myanmar, all over the world, in Eastern Europe, in South Africa, in African countries, and South American. You're doing all that on one side, but here's a human rights violation. You're looking the other way, which
yeah.
is even worse than.
No, it is. Also, there's only so I think I'm very disappointed that Biden didn't put some sort of sanctions on here, right? I think that he should have done something. The only kind of there is a fig leaf for him, right? In that it did not occur on U.S. soil. It did not occur to a U.S. citizen. This is the only fig leaf that he has, right? But having said that, we know what happened here, right? It
Let me
was because
explain the metaphor to the young man. Silvery, you understood what a fig leaf is?
No, I don't want to fig leaf
Okay, let me explain. A
it's
fig
a
leaf
flasher.
covers just the barest minimum. In ancient Rome, they would wear just a
Oh, okay,
fig
I know, I
leaf
know,
over
I
the
know what you're talking about.
body and
Yeah,
cover it. So the metaphor used
yeah,
by Amit Doshi is beautiful. I mean, do the maths. Excellent. Yeah. So it's a fig leaf. Go on, go on.
No, but that's what it is, right? I mean, like, because that's the only that seems to be the only kind of thing that you can look at over here. Because otherwise, of course, there should be some sanctions on the Saudi Arabian government,
See,
right? For
also,
they're
this
sanctioning.
no,
Sorry,
go on. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay,
they're
there should be.
sanctioning journalist assassinations. What the fuck?
Absolutely. But at the same time, we talk about him being a breath of fresh air, that Trump will go, Biden will come, and we all discuss is, will the world change? Nada. Certain policies are just bigger than individuals. It's just not going to happen. And that's the truth of politics. So let's face it. So stop thinking that there's a champion, Richard the Lionheart, who's coming and starting the crusades, or, Chandragupta Maurya the first has united the entire world as we see it. All this is not going to happen. Leaders
So,
are the same.
so there's an old saying in American politics, which I think applies to most other countries' politics, right? And that is basically politics ends at the border. When it comes to foreign policy, all countries need to show a united front. And what that means is that foreign policy is not going to deviate dramatically from one president to the other. Like everything that Biden has done, even things which affect other countries, right, are things which are more from a U.S. Domestic policy lens. For example, rejoining the Paris Climate Accords,
yeah.
right? It is something that he's doing, which is a more. It's something that is that's an international thing, but it's more about how the U.S. government is going to deal with climate change within the country, right? If you look at the immigration bans that he's overturned, again, it is more about immigration, right? It's not about what the relationship with the individual country is. But if you then again, like you were talking about, I think this was before we started. You were mentioning the drone attacks in Syria and stuff like that, right? That's going to continue because that's U.S. foreign policy. So I mean, like the way you interact with foreign countries is always going to be the same.
And it's not that easy for the new president to come and change and chop as people think. There are two houses he's got to get through. There's a
Yeah.
lot of red tape he has to get through. And what does he really want to do? What are the fights that he wants to fight?
No,
He can't
and you
fight all the
don't
fights.
want to do it also, right? Because Donald Trump's an outlier, right? I mean, like, and that is something that we all understand is somewhat different. But even in the case of, like, you don't want Indian foreign policy or American foreign policy or any country's foreign policy to like change dramatically based on elections, because now what that does is all of a sudden foreign actors have incentive to fuck around with your elections, which happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
but now you're giving them much more incentive to do it. No,
But
that
but but here's the bottom line, Amit, just to segue a little bit back to the philosophy, which is simple, that all politics has its price. Okay,
Hmm.
just like the taxi tariff card, it's the same thing. So you got to look at the price, the cost to your company and cost to your nation, and then you decide. So morality and ethics are just words. When we have to understand that, I think once you understand and digest that, we'll be happier people. There will be some massacres that will be overlooked. This guy was chopped into pieces, physically beaten to death, put inside a bag or box or sacks, and
Yeah.
taken out in body parts. I mean, hello, you can't get more horrifying than that. And,
Hmm.
and Turkey was left with egg on their face, thinking what the hell happened, and nearly caused diplomatic relations to be severe there between Turkey and Saudi Arabia, because you can't enter the embassy and just do that and exit just because it's your part of the world in another country.
You can.
I mean,
It's
you
crazy,
can
right?
technically, but you can't. I mean,
No, but I mean, like, yeah, it's one thing that does kind of lead to, like, some rethinking is necessary, I think, around like embassy protections and stuff too, right? I mean, like this idea of like, blanket and diplomatic community wherever you go, this
yeah,
idea that like, this is our soil, not yours. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, this is this is a
Although my
thorny
Polish friend
thing.
Fedor, when I was in college, because he had this yellow license plate, we used to drink and show the cops the beer and all that. He said, "Come on, come on,
Okay.
let's show the police." And so we drink and hi. I mean, this is silly things we did. Oh, the 90s, India was free, beer was free. We didn't need taxis. And if you're with the
Taxis.
Polish ambassador's son, you do what the hell you want, man. Yeah. When in Poland, do what the Polish do, which is what we did in Haji Ali, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. How much did petrol cost when you guys were growing
So
up? Like when you
I
were
paid
teenagers?
$6 for the first in 1990 for my first filling. Because I remember, because I felt really good. I took
Wow.
dad said bring the bill home, put it in our tax returns and all that. Parsis, you don't understand. We file
Six
all that
rupees.
back in the 90s before digital. We filed. I could show you a stack. I don't know how Amit did it. A stack of petrol bills, and it was
Oh.
for just, I think, just 10 liters. We wouldn't buy more at a time because that was $60 you spent on petrol was
60,
enough.
yeah, 6 rupees a liter. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember like my
yeah,
first tank full, if I'm not mistaken, was less than $100.
yeah.
72 rupees or something like that. My first
There
tank
you
A
full.
go. So
full tank
yeah,
of
12,
gas.
15 liters. Also, Marutis, the smaller cars, they had only 30,
Yeah,
35 liter tanks.
I
So it
had
was
a
free half a
Fiat.
tank. Fiat had a maybe 35-liter tank, if I remember
Was it?
correctly.
I don't
30
remember.
to
I remember
35.
paying 70 rupees, some 70, 80 rupees
So
at
now
the
you won't
petrol
even
pump
get one
near
liter. Can you
top of the
imagine?
town.
Your $70
Yeah.
from there, it doesn't get you a
It's
liter.
insane.
You have to
Yeah.
beg him to put something in a thumb, the cork of a bottle, and then you pour it and you hope to God it starts and reaches
Yeah.
home. Ouch,
Which is
Oh, do
ouch.
you
again why
guys
maybe we should let MBS do whatever the hell he wants now, so then petrol prices don't go
do
up.
you guys ever have a problem when they don't?
Ah, Silver,
Segue.
you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
No, I didn't hear that.
He
No.
said let MBS do what he does so that whatever he wants, so that the petrol prices don't go up because they control it.
Go,
That's the one thing they control. Absolutely. Although again, I'm
True.
telling you, their cost to company for us is some 30 odd, and all put together it's some 40 odd, and then you reach
Yep.
100. How? We've got to examine that 44 to 100 steps.
It's taxes. I mean, like it's government, it's local taxes, it's
It's
central
double
taxes, it's
taxes also
petrol
now with
taxes, it's
Maharashtra
all
tax and
taxes.
the central tax as well because they
And
have to
it's
pay an
tax on
extra
tax now. So
tax on
basically,
tax.
so you have a surcharge, and then tax is paid on charge of the surcharge. It's just
I can't
nonsensical, man.
believe we tried every topic. We came back to petrol, taxis, and the screw up of our lives.
I
Yeah,
I have one more question about this, about the petrol
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Do you guys have a problem when they don't show you the zero of the meter at the petrol pump? Or is that just like a myth?
But they
Like, is
do.
that
It's
like
I
a
can't remember when they don't. They
very
always
often they
point.
like not anymore, but sometimes they don't. And when they don't or they forget to do that, it feels
Okay,
like they are
so
scamming you.
when
But
you're
I'm sure
raised
they're
in a
not.
when you're raised in a Parsi household, you will get out of the car. You'll not sit in the car.
Oh,
You will
okay.
shut
No, no.
everything when you fill the diesel or
Hmm.
petrol.
Okay.
You will be standing next to him. You'll be literally holding his
Oh,
hand. You'll be watching the meter. You'll be watching the spill. You'll be watching that no petrol oil spill happens on where you are. You'll shut the thing properly yourself, and then
no,
you'll
no,
take
no.
a receipt
That's too
to
much
say
work.
bye bye. Yeah. So in the way we are brought up, and I can't change that. These are all classically conditioned things which just happen. So my everybody else I've seen, they just sit in the car with the AC on and say,
Yeah.
give a card from 2 inches to the guy, and they don't even look at anything, and it fills up a little bit, and then they sign and go. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, this is the way we are. Really, my
Yeah, no,
life. What a life.
I'm very
I sit in the
different.
car. Yeah, I
I,
just
I,
sit in the car,
I
tell
don't
him
Wait,
to
even.
go to
let's hear both
car.
of you say.
No, no, my just this is okay. I expect so I haven't had a car in 5, 6 years. So I expected my fuel, my tank filling to cost me about $2,500. When as long as he came back to me a bill with like $2,500 ish, it was $100 up or down. I'm fine. Okay, that's what it was. I
So
just never thought about it
you
beyond that.
never got out of the car to double check and sort of not like
But
you're being
no, but
suspicious. It's just a thing you do. You
so
stand there.
I fill at the Nepean Road petrol pump, right, the one right across from Priyadarshini
Yeah,
Park.
yeah.
They're very kind of conscientious about like knocking on your window, pointing at the thing, see the 0 meter, and then they
Yeah, they
fill the
are.
car. So yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
like I've never bothered too much after that.
yeah. Okay, Silvery, what were you saying?
I was saying that I to just literally just sit in my car and tell him just make it ishara like 1 is 1,000, 2 is 2,000, and he fills it.
But
I'd
what if you
literally never get out of the car.
what if you use the wrong finger for one like this? Then what
I
will
mean,
you
it's
do?
possible. Yeah, it's very, very possible.
All right. Shall we go through the AMAs?
Let's
Yes,
do
sure.
them.
We basically did two topics. One was all
Yeah.
traffic and tariffs and taxis and little bit of fuel, which is the same family, and then little bit of Mohammed bin Salman, who you tied back to fuel
To
because of
fuel.
their
Yeah.
control monopoly over the whole business. So wow,
Yes.
in a way, we're like poets. We really are. We were able to
Yeah.
squeeze a whole story.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about the virus stuff, the
Oh yeah,
vaccine
quickly. Yeah,
stuff.
we should. Or we may have
We,
in the
we,
question anyway.
yeah, because otherwise we won't be doing this again till
Right.
Thursday. Now you have your
Yeah,
normal interview
Yeah.
episodes next 3 days.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
were there any questions about that, Antariksh, or maybe we can kind of tie that into an AMA piece?
yeah, I can't really find questions about the vaccination thing,
Yeah, I'll tell
but
you the problem.
we
The
know that.
confusion is
Yeah.
where do you go? Because I have already parents and the building chat. I was just listening and looking at it. In fact, right here, everybody is not clear. Not words like this are not clear, not clear, not clear. And I don't want to attack the government because I'm sure they're trying to do what they're trying to do. But where do you go? How do you sign up? What is the process? And how long will it take? These kind of questions. I think everybody's asking
So we'll
because
find out, I think, as we go a little bit, right? But I think they've put out some lists, haven't they? There's a list of
oh
hospitals, private and public. The private hospitals are
Modi
going
ji
to
took
charge
a
you
vaccine today.
250.
Modi ji
yeah,
took the vaccine today.
Ah, okay.
PM Modi
Nice.
took the vaccine.
like
Was it
was
today
he
or
in
yesterday?
line?
I
Was he
think
in
today.
line
Yeah.
or out of line?
I'm sure he didn't want. He not to get in line. That was just a photo of him sitting and the
So
doctor putting the
did,
injection.
did he get that e-certificate or whatever that he's taken it and all? So that
I actually don't know. I just saw this one image and they were announcing that PM Modi takes the vaccine.
wow, okay, excellent. So that means then we should take it. Once our politicians take it, we know it's working because they wouldn't be taking it otherwise. For me, that's
That's
good
true.
enough.
Yeah.
It's what we call the sabut of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in the next couple of days, if we can, or on Thursday when we return, hopefully we'll be able to give a modus operandi which is a little better. Because looking at urban India and urban Mumbai at the moment, lots of people are confused and not clear. Dr. Amit Doshi will get back to us with a much better sort of procedure, which I think will allow more confidence in the society. At the moment, people are a little worried.
Yeah, I have a list of all of the private hospitals that are there. Somebody sent that to me yesterday.
Okay, when the show's over, you read it out because otherwise half an hour will
No,
go
no,
in
I'm
that.
not going to bother reading
Okay,
it
all
out.
right.
But I mean, like, so I'm saying that the information's out there, right? What
Okay.
are the private
Okay, let
hospitals
me
that
let me
are?
go to the building chat while you guys set up for the AMAs because I'll tell you the problem with the building chat is all these guys and they're all old people in my building. None of them use the stairs. That's how you know that they're all old people in a building. Um, it's in Bandra Kulla complex. Tomorrow I check and inform about it. But Ward D has to go to certain hospitals, right? They can't go there. Maybe, but I've told BKC has excellent 7-star government faculty. I mean, he meant facility, but you have to understand the age. I mean BKC. So this is the whole thing. Let's understand the real problem. Which is the best bang for the buck is the question. Although the buck is supposed to be the same, and that's what they're asking.
No, it's not. No,
Secondly,
there is a difference, right? You can go to a BMC hospital for free,
yeah.
and you can go to a private hospital for
So what
250
does it
bucks.
mean by what does he mean by 7-star government faculty?
So
What
then
is
that is he's going to a BMC hospital. Now you're going to a public hospital, you're going for free. If
right?
you go to a private hospital, then there's a charge to it. And I'm sure within a
One
week
second,
you'll start seeing
so one second. The charge in the private hospital is more than the 250 rupees.
there's
The
a
price is supposed to be 150
BMC
and 100 bucks
BMC
for yeah.
from what I understood, BMC is free. Okay, so this
It's
is
not
something
free,
that
bro. I think it's 250 bucks.
no
No, 250 bucks is for the private hospitals.
Oh,
government
so if I go to
hospitals
the
will
government
be
hospital, I
free.
don't pay the 250 bucks.
You don't pay
So
anything.
then I can afford the taxi. 169 will take me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Then I have
Yeah.
this much left because they don't charge me. But if they charge me, I can't take the vaccine.
So
I
I
can only
got
tip
this
the
from.
cabbie.
I'm going to read out this message because now
Yeah,
we'll do public service a little bit, right?
yeah.
This came from somebody who knows. As of now, the defined hospitals are not the defense hospitals are not vaccination centers. Efforts are on to include them. So you have two options: wait for some time to register on COWIN app once activated by 1st March, or walk-in registration at the nearest vaccination centers. Private hospitals, including empaneled hospitals, will charge 250 per dose. Government hospitals will be free.
But how do you know about long lines and all that? Because they're all senior people
The
going.
lines will be there. Lines will be there for
So
sure. That's
you
why
send your uncle. No, but they'll be waiting for 3 hours.
no. So you get that COWIN app now, the COWIN 2.0 app. You register over there. They'll give you an appointment.
Yeah, but why can't they get really fast guys to go, left, right, and center like?
It's not that simple a vaccination, I think.
What do they have to do? It's just a thing into the shoulder, right?
Is it? Don't they
How
have to
long does
find a
it take?
vein?
No, I don't think so. In fact, it's intramuscular. It should be going to the muscle,
If it's
no pain.
if it's going to muscle, then yeah, then they should be able to do it really
Yeah,
fast.
because Kunal, they couldn't find any muscle, vein, or artery. They only found fat, and then they said they gave up. COVID left. COVID was like, I can't deal with this guy. All right, enough.
Did he
No,
get it done already?
he's got it done. Na? Dr. Kunal Vijayakar got it done. So
You got it?
if you're from a doctor family and all that,
Oh,
it allows you to find your way in.
but
And
yeah, if you're medical, yeah, you can do
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, AMAs.
All right.
AMS.
Let's get to the AMAs. This one comes in. First one comes in from Shruti S. She says, AMA for Cyrus. Aisha revealed that you sleep with your head near Aisha's feet. What
Explain.
other superstitions do you believe in?
Yeah, I got crap. Yeah, I'm a bit of a jerk when it comes to that. I always take the towel on my back 3 times. I
Uh-huh.
can't explain some of these things is OCD or whatever, but I have all kinds of little things that I do. Before I start working out, I always touch my fingers on the bar in an almost sexual way, this way and that way, clockwise and counterclockwise. I do lots of little things. I can't explain, but the one about sleeping is because our luck just got better after 1 year of a sabbatical from any sort of money, and everything seemed to. So now I'm just trapped in this trap. What do you do? Look at cricketers. I mean, look at sportsmen. I know so many cricketers who want they use the same abdi guard, the same gloves. I mean, the guy's the richest guy, Virat Kohli, but he won't change the abdi guard because that first double century came from there. So I mean, we're prisoners. We're prisoners to luck. It's the same thing as going to the mandir or worshipping or anything else. A lot of it is to do with the fact that you don't want to lose where you are, and so then you're just stuck. I'm one of those. I mean, it makes no sense. You could no point arguing. I agree. It's just stupid. Silvery, what about you? Do you have anything you do?
I don't think not superstitious per se. But the only time I get a little superstitious is at night when I come back home sometimes a little late, right? So we have a mandir at home, like a space for a mandir at home, and the last person who enters home has to switch off the light of the mandir. So if you come home at like 1 o'clock at night, you have to switch off the mandir light.
But that is
Before switching off the
practical.
mandir light,
Huh.
correct? No, no, that's fine. But before switching off the mandir light, I feel like, oh, my hands should be extra clean. Like if I've touched anything before touching the mandir, then I would be like extra clean.
But
I
otherwise,
can't have eaten.
you're not God fearing. Otherwise,
Not
you're not
really,
really
no.
into.
Only this one instant. I
Yeah.
don't even know why. I don't even like. I believe myself to be like agnostic, but just because of these guys, they're like in
This is
our mandir, there
this
are
is
like
called
50,
the just.
50
This is
murtis or
just
something.
agnostic is fine. This is called the just in case option. The just in case
Yeah,
option must
exactly.
be.
It's not
must be.
atheism. It's
You
not
can't land
atheism.
up
Yeah,
between heaven and hell and say, "Boss, मैं
yeah,
सोचा आप लोग नहीं था. मेरी गलती नहीं है. I really didn't know."
exactly. So that's the only thing I think I can think of that I'm a little superstitious about, but otherwise, for the most
Yeah,
part,
and
no.
it just spirals from there. Amit, are you superstitious?
I can't think of anything really. I mean, I've been trying to think since it came up, and
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. I'm very anti-superstition. I
I,
feel
I I
like
meat a lot
I'm
of my
also
friends
anti.
still.
I'm just a prisoner to it.
I know.
It's like
Uh,
I don't want to kill animals, but I'm eating non-veg. I'm doing this. It's a dichotomy which is very clear what is right and wrong.
No, I'm trying to think of like, is there a thing which I do which is like, and I'm like, if I ever caught myself doing something like that, I'd make myself stop doing it.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
don't
just
think
trying.
you don't have that OCD quality. I don't see you doing anything. I can't remember any mannerism which correlates to a certain pattern.
Yeah,
So you don't have
I
that.
can't either. I mean, like
Which is good.
I've been trying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
uh,
You're not a
I have
prisoner.
a friend.
But
I have a
for us,
friend.
the OCD
Sorry,
guys,
sorry.
sorry, Silvery, we
No, no,
have
please.
when we're alone, we have all this to do. You see,
Ah,
so our
Yeah.
time is always occupied. We don't have to have great things to do. We'll just take 5 times to open the handle of the door, all that crap. So we're good on our
Yeah.
own. Yeah, you were saying, sorry.
So I'm saying a friend of mine won't even cut her cat's nails after dark because she's like, we shouldn't cut nails after the sun has gone down. So cat's nails are like this. Yeah,
Yeah,
super
bro.
dark.
I,
okay.
I I tell you, it's all intelligent people, so-called intelligent people doing it because you can't take a chance once it's all to do with some experience. When that experience
It
happens, you
is.
just can't take a chance. It's
Yep,
weak, it's stupid, it's infantile, but then how to break it? Breaking it is
that's
very
true.
hard. You need real willpower, and I don't do narcotics. Anyway, next one.
All right, next one. One second. Yeah, this one. Harvest Kasad asks,
He's
"Hi
a
Harvest,
regular.
hi again." He's a regular. Hi Harvest, hi again. Question for Amit and Cyrus. Number one, NBA. Amit, what is your take on Dame Lillard getting the All-Star starting lineup snub for Western Conference? Do you think fan vote should be allowed in this?
Yeah, fan vote should be allowed. And here's the question, right? Who do you? He's asking, should Dame be an all? Should Dame have been an all-star starter? Maybe he should have, but I mean, like, who do you take out from the team, right? I mean, like, one of the other starters is Steph Curry, and who's the other guard starter? Is Luca a guard? I think Luca is the guard. So who do you take out? You take out, I mean, like, the difference between them is also minor, right? All three of them are like amongst the best players ever, and that's always going to be there. If
Hey,
Dame didn't get an All-Star spot at all, I'd say that's a snub, right? But that's not what happened.
hey,
He just
Amit,
didn't get a
Amit,
start
Amit,
now.
quickly
Yes,
on a related note, I was
yes.
reading this thing about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is the famous footballer from Sweden. So
Mhm.
he called out LeBron James in a tweet and said that you should just shut up and dribble and stop making all these political comments and commentary like you're healing the world every day. Uh,
He used the word "shut up and dribble."
yeah, the actual line is just shut up and dribble. You know,
Interesting. That's the name of a documentary that LeBron came out with last year
there you go.
about
Huh.
politics and
Yeah,
how athletes are supposed
mm,
to be interactive in politics.
yeah.
So it's really an interest because he got told that by
Zlatan, who called out racism, he's of North African mix, whatever stock
right,
Islamic background. He spoke about racism in Sweden, growing up in Sweden, etc.,
right.
himself. And then he goes over to LeBron, who's like his first cousin, saying the same thing in America. This is
Hmm.
still funny. Uh,
No, it's interesting, right? So LeBron's actually been taking some shit over the last couple of days because you remember Jeremy Lin, the Chinese player who
yeah, yeah,
got like
yeah. Of
really popular
course.
for a
Yeah, yeah,
while.
yeah.
So Jeremy Lin's been dealing with some like serious racism stuff that's been happening with him, right? And a lot of people are like, LeBron only cares about racism when it happens to black people. So that's been floating
Selective
around the
racism, the
yeah.
ugly head of selective racism. I've never spoken about it. But my question to you is, can it be too much? Can you reach a point when your political activism becomes like a lampoon? And everybody's like, oh shit, not again. Yeah, save this, save that,
It
save
does,
yourself.
no? It
Huh?
happens all the time. It happened to that. Who was the guy who was kneeling during the national anthems in the NFL?
Yeah.
Colin
Names.
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick. Yeah, that's right.
Kaepernick. It
Yeah.
happened to him also, no? I mean, like, that's exactly what happened to him. Everybody started losing patience with him. Even
Yeah.
people on his side started losing patience with him because it became more about drama than it became about this, right? Like, one of the most famous black guys in sports journalism is this guy named Stephen A. Smith. And he just went off on Colin Kaepernick one day. He's like, dude, you don't want to play in the NFL. You want to be an activist. So then be an
Yeah.
activist. If you want to be a football player, then be a football player. You
Yeah,
can't be both.
there's a line where your first core competence thing gets blown out of the window and this other thing takes over and then you've actually crossed like he
Yeah.
has literally.
Yeah.
So is LeBron doing that or is he still
No,
basketball's greatest
LeBron
player?
still, dude. He's the best basketball player. He's having a season right now, which is second only to Joel Embiid.
So you're in a forgiving mood tonight is what you're
No,
saying.
I'm not in a forgiving mood, but I mean, like, he's still a basketball player first, right? I mean, like, he speaks about this stuff, and it's good that he should speak about this stuff.
Again, no one is saying that it's wrong that he's speaking. It's a question of how much. It's a quantity issue, not the
But I
quality of
mean,
the
like,
conversation.
does it really feel like he's speaking so much
Look,
that
if
it?
I went to every forum, if I was really famous and just only spoke about welfare of stray dogs and saving animals, after about 15 minutes, people will be like, I don't want this guy here anymore. Because
Yeah, that is
the
probably true.
equity of the product goes out of the window, the marginal utility of the product goes out of the window and just comes
True.
down. That's
That is
all we're
true.
saying. So maybe Zlatan has something. Zlatan is quite an intelligent and naughty guy. If you he's quite the
But I wonder if he used the exact word "shut up and dribble." I wonder if he's not saying it somewhat tongue in cheek.
it is tongue
Because
in cheek.
you
Of
yeah
course
no,
it
but
is.
using the word shut up and dribble, right? It makes me feel that he is being a little sarcastic that maybe LeBron shouldn't do that because that term became that term was a massively controversial term, which is why they based the documentary based on that, right? There was a right-wing commentator who when
Is it black
uh,
sportsmen should just shut up and dribble, not talk?
yeah,
Yeah.
what was it? I think this was when that the Trayvon Martin murder happened. That George Zimmerman Trayvon Martin murder,
Silvery, act
and
like you
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
he's talking about. See, I
I
have
do.
perfected it. Yes, Amit. Yes, of course.
Yes, I
Teach me,
do.
master. Teach me kung fu.
no, no, you must remember. I'm sure you remember. This was the guy with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hoodie who got shot by that Miami guy in
Yeah,
his own
and the guy was
neighborhood.
showing off afterwards. He was like,
Yeah,
he was at some
exactly. He
bar or
just
something.
sold his
Trayvon
gun on
Martin.
eBay. That
He spoke
guy, the
What?
about it.
guy,
He
the
spoke
guy
about
Wow,
it.
who
Yeah.
that guy, man,
he
no
just
shame.
I just
He
saw
he
something
was murderer
on
of the year.
yeah. No,
He
dude,
was.
I
Yeah.
just saw something on one of those late night shows. He sold the gun he killed Trayvon Martin with on eBay. I'm like, what the fuck? How does
Yeah.
that happen,
But
right?
somebody bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Of course, there are people who are going to
What
want
kind
to
of
buy this
weirdos are
thing.
out there, man.
I
Don't
know.
blame India. We have a few, but so do the rest of the world. All
Yeah.
No,
right.
but when
So,
when that
good one.
happened, that time LeBron and those guys had done a protest of some nature, right? And so at that time, this right wing commentator said something along the lines that they should just shut up and dribble. And so then it became she started getting mocked. It became a little bit of a this, right?
It's also this social networking thing is also a tool for passing time. You
Hmm,
just do it sometimes, just start trying to be funny. I'm not taking a side. I'm trying to think of the different reasons you say
hmm.
different things. Sometimes, since I didn't know it was like a pun on words or play on words on his biography or video or whatever it is, it
Right.
makes a little sense that he was just trying to be cheeky.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that's his style. Zlatan. All
Yeah.
right, Zlatan and cheek basically. Quick, one more. Ten
All
forty
right.
nine.
Yeah, yeah. So we have two quick cricket questions. This one
Yeah.
comes from Purvanchal Law Classes. Okay, wow. Purvanchal Law Classes ask opinion on the Motera match, pink ball issue or pitch issue, Cyrus?
Okay, both. Do the research on pink ball, ladies and gentlemen. Pink ball matches have been disasters for batsmen almost in every country: Australia, England, India. We played Bangladesh here first. Wherever else it has been played, New Zealand. Wherever we've had pink ball matches, the bat has struggled. There's no question about that.
But
We
why you
just
can't
had
see the ball? What's the
no,
issue?
it's difficult to explain now because it's just like the vaccine. It's just been on for 2 3 years. So we don't have enough perspective to explain. The seam is more
Okay.
enhanced. The ball seems to swing more. It seems to bounce a
Hmm.
little bit more. It just gives more to the bowler and to the spinner. Of course, our Motera wicket was like it was turning from 5 days before the match started. So there's no question.
Hmm.
So you can criticize 2 days. 2 days is too quick a test match. It's just ridiculous. And in Indian batsmen struggled. Joe Root got 5 for 8. But I like the fact that the ball dominates the bat. If you forget the fact that he lost 3 days of income and all the TV rights, etc., and all that go to waste, I think for me, watching bowlers dominate shows you how good the batsmen really are. So I'm very happy. And don't forget, in the test match in Adelaide ended in 3 days with us 36 all out in the fourth innings. So I mean, they have to discuss the pink ball at a separate meeting, the ICC, and figure out what to do. I'm all for it. I don't mind the odd test match ending fast. Come on, they gives you 3 more days to play games with your OCD. Opening doors 5 times, pressing your finger onto your nose, turning your head left to right. I've seen all kinds of strange things. Yeah. Sorry. Next question.
But would you actually prefer a shorter test match, Cyrus?
No, no, back in the 80s, people were screaming about 80s and 90s that they're dull and dreary. 5 days, Gavaskar
Yeah.
batted forever. Blue, blue, blue. It's killing us. Nobody's going to watch it. So we were thinking of making it into a 4 day test match with 100 overs per
Yeah.
day. What happened to all that? Now, when it goes the other way, now you're not happy. So you want this perfect balance. Where the perfect balance ever going to happen in life? You're going to have the odd test match that ends in 2 days. Both teams batted badly. We were just lucky enough that our spinners were just a little better than theirs. That's it. I don't know. I think there's too much criticism going on. The losing side, some of the pundits like Michael Vaughan, even Monty Panesar, who I love so much, unfortunately, all saying 2 days is too quick. But what the hell does that
Yeah.
mean? The batsmen competent enough for this pink ball. The moment there's some
Yeah.
advantage, the bowlers have been exposed as they have been for the last
Yeah.
3 years in day-night matches. That's
Yeah.
it. And it's
Correct.
not like India also didn't struggle. India did struggle. It just ended in 2 days with a 10 wicket win. But the fact of the matter is, both teams didn't bat properly. You, me, and Amit at 1, 2, and 3, different story.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
Absolutely.
what Cyrus said.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you had 5 minutes of NBA, and I had to play with myself. So then I give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes of play. Now here's a guy
Okay.
who understands balance. That's what Silvery does correctly. He made
Another
sure both their uncles were okay. Huh? Go on. Go on.
another interesting cricket question.
Yeah.
This one again comes in from Harvesh Kasad. He says, Cyrus, what's your take on workload management in cricket with players told to miss the game? It only happens for bowlers, and this was prevalent pre-COVID too.
No, no,
So,
no, no.
what do you think of
In
this?
England, it's now happening for everyone. They just sent Chris Wokes, the all-rounder, back. They sent the batsman, wicketkeeper Johnny Bairstow back, and then brought him back with no form, etc., etc. So they're doing a different thing altogether. They're looking at 17 Test matches over 12 months, and so they have to rotate. That's their business. I don't agree with it at all because cricketers lose momentum. Jasprit Bumrah,
Hmm.
we've rested for the fourth Test because he asked for rest. I don't think he should have been rested. I should think he should have played
Hmm.
all four Test matches and been rested for the one-day games if possible. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't understand this. You have a shelf life of 10 or 15 years as an international sportsman. Okay, so you look after yourself, but what is this nonsense? They've got to get themselves more fit to play non-stop. Yeah, what the hell? Tennis players do it. It's not like they take time off. NBA players do. Hey,
No,
what do they do in
and
American sport?
they take a lot of time off.
So no,
It's
they
become
they, they cycle
over
them.
the
They cycle them. It's like a
over the
roaster.
last 5 years. It's become a massive topic of debate in the NBA. How much should you rest players even when they're not hurt? Because the
Hmm.
science is actually showing that giving players
Okay,
more rest is both improving performance and prolonging careers.
There's
So
also
they're
science
starting.
against that, saying that you continue, in bodybuilding, you say that work out only one body part and then take 2 days
Huh,
off, 3 days off, kill it completely, then sleep and let it grow. And that's how it grows. But there's
right.
also, how do you explain people like mechanics with huge forearms who work every day and they have bodybuilder like forearms just from the work they do for that body part every day. So there's science in both ways.
No,
The non-rest
there is,
period as
but
well.
no. So I think with athletics, what they're finding is that the recovery times lead to longer careers, right? Like, I mean, like the reason why. Think about this, no, Cyrus. Just think about how many players you can think of who are playing deeper into their careers now than they ever have, right? And this some of this comes down to sports science, right?
Okay.
Especially you look at the NBA right now. LeBron James is 36 years old, 37 years old. He is legitimately still the best player in the NBA.
He may be on HGH, he may
Oh.
be on DECA, he may
No,
be
he
taking all kinds of
spends. Do
things.
you know that he spends over $1 million on his own body kind of maintenance every year personally? He has a hyperbaric chamber that he sleeps in. He does all this kind of sports
No, I
sciencey
accept
stuff.
that, and it makes sense. It's like a doctor investing in his
Yeah.
refresher courses or something. It makes
Mm,
sense.
mm,
What we have to understand is the Ian Botham style of the whole thing is back in the 80s they would play. Let's just take the England team because we're talking about England, English conditions and English culture. They would play 6 days a week of county cricket all the
mm,
time, and then they would play warm-up games and before playing test matches. They played much more cricket in a sense. Okay, there was no
mm.
question of backing off, and they were able to bowl. I'm talking about the fast bowlers were able to bowl every day. Something happened where we became softer and now we're preserving them, putting them in
It's
cotton wool. You may be right. You may be right. The intensity may be a little more with the T20 coming in and all that. I can't say for sure, but I personally don't understand why they have to keep resting them when the momentum is good for the player. If Jimmy Anderson just gave you a test match, you didn't play him the next game. If Bumrah is bowling at his very best, he should be playing in the next game. I don't understand. I don't get that.
There is a whole this is a massive conversation in all kinds
Yeah,
of sports. I know it's happening in soccer too. I know that it is happening in the NBA. It's not happening in the NFL, but it's happening in the NBA. It's happening in baseball. It's happening in the NHL. It's happening in soccer.
and
It's
then
happening in all of these
it
sports which
also
have.
sorry, Amit,
Uh,
it also brings into question the context. So, what are you playing then? If so many matches, you can allow the guy not to play. So, are
hmm.
a lot of the matches inconsequential? How does that work? In
No,
which
so
case, look at that.
so then that's why there's so much controversy around this, right? That I mean, like this young kid who has saved up his money to go and see LeBron James play, but LeBron James is not playing that
There you
day
go.
because because he and his team has decided that it is in my best interest not to play today, right? So I mean, like, does that make sense? Or I mean, like, so
No, it does make sense. Jimmy
it's not
Anderson
a
is the best swing bowler of his generation, bar
yeah,
none. We want to see him. He's in the last legs of his career. He comes
yeah.
to India. You want to see him, and then he bowls a beautiful spell, breaks the back of the Indian batting, wins them a test match in a
No,
sense, and then doesn't play the next. And
yeah.
then they lose really badly because they've taken out two of their momentum players straight
It's
away.
no, it definitely it's not an easy answer, right? There's definitely something there's complexity to it, but but again, like the guy who won the Super Bowl is 44 years old today, right?
Brady,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
but
And
he's an exception, isn't he?
no,
I mean,
but I mean, like,
it's a real exception.
you're seeing more and more of these exceptions
Well,
because
Chris
people
Gale
are
is playing. He's just been chosen by the West Indies for
so
T20 series against Sri Lanka at 41.
huh,
So you're
there you
right.
go.
And,
So
and
you familiar with these monitors and stuff like that they're
yeah, of
using to
course.
track movements and stuff,
Yes, of course. They're
right?
all
So they
doing
do
it. Even
this
the
like
cricketers are doing it.
yeah, so like from hour to hour, minute to minute, you know exactly how much movement they're doing, what is happening on their this, and then they have all these blood tests that they're doing. They're doing all these oxygenation tests to find out how oxygenated the blood is and stuff like that. And they're just kind of doing this stuff
But isn't
consistently.
about time the sportsmen do IQ tests as well? I think that's
I
one that they've
think that,
left
dude.
out.
Honestly, I've come to the conclusion that if you're
See,
playing professional sports, you can't be a dummy.
we just discuss it's all about too much of a good thing or too much
Yeah.
spoiling the whole barrel completely, making the apples rotten or whatever metaphor you want to use. And I'm just
Yeah.
thinking maybe it's just going the other way, just with political correctness,
Mm,
just with the whole Me Too movement, etc., etc. Everything's just going to an extreme where it loses its sense of logic.
mm.
And then I mean, you put them in a cotton wool swab and you hold them and hug them and hide them and release them slowly. I don't know if I understand a little bit of rotation, I understand a little bit of rest, but it's just too much now. And England is
Mm.
setting a very bad precedent. India started to follow it. Australia is already following it. And
Yeah,
once these three, four countries do it, everybody else is going to do it. There's no
yeah.
way Afghanistan won't do it at some point when the intensity goes up.
Uh,
Travel
it,
itinerary, that is.
it's a hard answer, right? I mean, again, if Cyrus, let's say you're a professional cricketer and you find out that by doing this, by resting every fourth match or resting every sixth match that is being played, this has the potential to extend my career by 3 years. Would you do it or would you not do it?
How the hell can you prove it'll go up by
Absolutely.
3 years? You
But
can
no,
never
but I mean,
prove
like,
that.
you cannot prove
A
anything.
lot
But
of it
this
is
is what
mental fatigue also. The reason is that, okay, we play 3 intense games, and give the guy a break mentally, didn't recharge, etc. That kind of thing.
well, so again, I hope it's not mental fatigue because these guys should be tougher than that by the time they get to
How will they get tougher when you keep
this.
pulling them back and putting them in cotton wool?
No, but
The
dude,
toughening thing is not happening.
they they don't become international cricketers without going through without going through like other things, no?
It's not just cricket. It's like you mentioned, it's all sports now, more or less. So
Yeah,
it's the way of the world. I'm just saying, are you making a softer generation of players? That's all I'm saying. In the
I
sense, they may play longer, but are they softer?
I don't know.
The hard yards of the 80s and the 90s are now far
Yeah,
behind us.
I don't know, right? I mean,
But are
like
they
you
softer or
hear
Did
these.
cheaper than
did Mickey
better
Mantle
though?
play all the games in every
Yes,
season?
he did. Yes, he did.
Okay, so
Like
today,
so the Cal Ripken was one of the most amazing baseball players when I was a kid, right?
right?
Or like 18, 19, 20 years old. He got the quote unquote Iron Man record, which he beat Lou Gehrig for, which was
Yeah,
the most consecutive games ever played. Right? He just kept playing every day, day in, day out. That record is never going to be
and
beaten.
decent intensity, right? It's not like it's
He was a
any.
good player. He was a good player. He
No, what I
was
mean
not
is the levels
but
were pretty good still.
so he was let's put it this way, right? I mean, like would he have been considered to be one of the all-time bests as he is right now if he didn't have this component to it where you can count on him to be there for every game no matter what? I don't think so. But he was a good player. He was definitely an all-star, but maybe not an all-time great, right?
But it doesn't mean that if we rested him every third game, he would have become an all-time great and played two
Well,
more
maybe
years.
he does. You don't know that, right?
First thing,
Because
his
the thing,
intensity would have gone through the roof if we give him
so
a third or fourth game
that's
off.
that's what they're saying right now, right? I
Uh,
mean, like the reason why they say that is that
I'll leave
basically,
you. Sorry, go on.
yeah, no, that your muscles, the springiness in your muscles improves. Your
Injury,
what's that fast twitch
injury.
or something like that
The
they call it?
fast switch has to rest. Okay, that's all
Yeah,
powerlifting philosophy. I understand that they have to rest, otherwise you can't perform at the same level. But your
yeah.
body has to perform at a certain level, at a certain consistent level to be an athlete. Also, you got to find some middle ground there. I'll leave you with this thought. Can you replace anchors who are in the momentum? Would you take Arnab Goswami off when he's hitting such high notes? No, you wouldn't. Would you replace him with Republic TV? Look no further. I'm willing to change my political views for the right tie and glasses. Yeah. All right, guys, we've gone well over time.
Yeah, we've gone over an hour.
I've got a meeting for an event at 11, which is now 1 minute late. So I will see you tomorrow with a guest.
Yes.
This is Cyrus
All right.
says signing out. I'm walking home. $32 midnight rate for taxi. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.